That baby cried from midnight until morning. You should pick up your grandchild so it can sleep, the old man next door shouted just as I stepped out of the taxi. I froze. I didn't have a grandchild. He pointed straight at my window. I see your daughter-in-law holding the baby every night. A cold shiver ran down my spine. My daughter-in-law Melanie could not have a child, let alone hold one inside my house while I was away. That night I pretended to leave town for a conference, but instead circled back through the rear alley and hid in the dark, cramped attic of my own home. And in that suffocating darkness I heard the cry of a baby I had never met. If you're still listening, tell me where you're watching from. Every comment you leave is another mark in this journey. And if this story has touched you, don't forget to hit like so it can reach even further. My name is Clara Jenkins. I'm 67 years old, living in a quiet suburban town in Indiana. My 2-story wooden house sits under the shade of old maple trees. A place so familiar that just by hearing the rustling leaves, I can tell whether rain is coming or sunshine will last all day. After my husband Richard died suddenly from a heart attack, this big house sometimes felt painfully silent. Luckily, my son Calvin brought his wife Melanie to live here with me. I thought it would be a new beginning. A warm little family of 3. Even though I still missed Richard's deep voice until it ached. The short 3-day trip to Nashville was a small gift I gave myself after months of feeling worn out. I came home lighter and hopeful, carrying Tennessee cookies for the 2 of them. But just minutes after stepping onto the cracked concrete in front of the house, every bit of peace shattered like a glass falling off a marble counter. I pulled my suitcase across the yard. My hands were trembling. Mr. Harris, the old neighbor, wasn't the type to gossip. He was gruff but kind, and he hated noisy kids more than anything. But what he told me, each word felt like a freezing stone in my bloodstream. I unlocked the door. The latch clicked like always, but everything inside felt wrong. No TV on, no Calvin calling out, "Mom, are you home?" No smell of Melanie's weekend baking. Only one thing. An unnatural stillness. Melanie appeared from the living room holding a home decor magazine. The moment she saw me, she jolted and dropped the book. "Oh, you're home already. I thought you weren't coming back until tomorrow." Her voice trembled. I smiled politely, keeping my tone steady. The flight changed. "Where's Calvin? At work?" She nodded quickly, her eyes darting repeatedly toward the hallway leading to the kitchen. A hallway that had never been worth glancing at before. I dragged my suitcase inside, but my heartbeat was already pounding. I remembered Mr. Harris shaking his head, insisting that he saw my daughter-in-law holding a baby. Melanie never liked holding babies, not even friends' babies. So why? I decided to approach it gently. "Melanie," I said softly. "The neighbor said there's a baby in the house." Her face drained of color instantly. She froze for a fraction of a second, then scrambled to build an excuse. "Oh, Mom, remember my best friend, right? Jessica. She got abandoned by her husband. She had to bring her baby here for a few days. I was going to tell you, but I didn't want you to worry." Jessica. A name pulled from thin air. Melanie had no best friend named Jessica. And when I asked what's the baby's name, she stalled. 1 second. Barely even that. But at my age, 1 second is enough to reveal everything. "Oh, the baby. Her name is?" She swallowed hard. "Emily. Emily." The name popped out like a pin bursting a balloon. Fake. I smiled. "Oh, that's cute." But inside, the pieces of suspicion began forming a warped, frightening picture. That night, after a simple dinner, I said I needed to rest early because of the flight. I went to my room, turned off the light but didn't sleep. I lay still and listened. 11 p.m. Silence. Midnight. Still silence. By 1 a.m. I was starting to think I might be overreacting, but at exactly 2:14 a.m. a small sound brushed through the hallway. Then a baby's cry. Faint, tired, but unmistakably real. I shot upright. My whole body felt doused in ice water. The cry wasn't from next door, not from a TV, not my imagination. It was inside my house, Then footsteps. A woman's whisper. "Hush, baby. Don't cry. Don't let anyone hear you." My heart clenched. I recognized that voice. It wasn't Melanie. It was softer, younger, different. I sat in the dark until sunrise, clutching the blanket like it was the only thing holding me together. At 6 a.m., I went downstairs with a calm face. "Melanie, I have to attend a financial workshop in Chicago." 3 days. She seemed startled at first, then relieved. Visibly relieved. I rolled my suitcase out the front door, closed it gently, and began a performance I never thought I'd stage. At 67, I took a taxi to the train station, got out, circled back through the neighborhood, slipped through a side path behind the houses, entered my own back door with an old spare key Melanie didn't know about. I moved quickly upstairs, climbed onto a wooden chair, and opened the attic hatch. My attic was nothing fancy. Old wood smell, dust everywhere, cobwebs in the corners. But from here, through a thin strip in the floorboards, I could see into the living room and kitchen. I crawled forward, pressing myself into the shadows. My heartbeat thudded like it did when I was young, but I knew only this way could I learn what was being hidden under my feet. I lowered the attic door quietly. The heat and stale air hit me instantly. But if I shifted slightly to the left, I could peer through the small crack that had existed for years. A crack even Richard never knew about. This would be my window into the truth below. I sat and opened the small backpack I'd prepared. 2 bottles of water, granola bars, a large power bank, my asthma inhaler, and a fully charged phone. I never imagined I, a 67-year-old widow, would be hiding in my own attic like a makeshift detective. But when something feels wrong, you don't ignore it. Lying flat with elbows braced, I looked through the crack. There was Melanie lounging on the couch, legs propped up, sipping a cold soda, watching a cooking show. Not a hint of stress, not a hint of caring for a distressed friend. I forced my breathing steady, but my heart pounded against the floorboards. She looked me straight in the eyes and lied, I thought. Then it happened. A baby cried, not a soft coo. A tired, strained cry from a baby only a few months old. Melanie jumped up immediately. Not panicked, practiced. She entered the guest room and came out holding a baby boy wrapped in a pale blue blanket. Her movements were smooth, familiar. Nothing like the awkward woman who once struggled to hold a neighbor's kitten. Something icy crawled up my spine. Melanie didn't like children. She never wanted them. Yet here she was, soothing this baby like a mother. I started recording every sound, every movement. She fed him, changed him, held him close, whispered things I couldn't quite hear. But then I caught it. "Mommy's here, okay? Mommy's here. Mommy. Not Auntie, not Melanie, Mommy." My chest tightened so hard I nearly gasped. When did she have a baby? How long had she hidden it? And whose child was it? I pushed the questions aside. I needed more proof. A little later, she placed the baby down and picked up her phone. Her voice dropped low. "Yeah, it's fine." "No, she doesn't know anything. The old woman is clueless. She said she's going to Chicago." "Old woman? Not mom, not mother-in-law, just old woman." "Then don't call this number anymore. Use the other one. Yes. Tonight. Bring the money." Money. A chill spread through me. She walked around the house, whispering. Too soft for me to hear the words, but not soft enough to hide the tone. A tone of someone making secret plans. Someone hiding a double life. Someone who didn't care who she hurt as long as she got what she wanted. She hid the baby. She hid a man. She hid an entire second life right under my roof. The house Richard built from years of sweat. My back ached from the hard wooden boards, but I didn't move. I watched. I recorded. I listened. I wasn't just a mother-in-law anymore. I had become an unwilling witness to something darker than I ever imagined. I tightened my grip on my phone, held my breath, and leaned closer to the crack. I needed more. I needed the whole truth before Calvin walked straight into this nightmare. I forced myself to find a deeper breath in the stifling heat. My eyes burned from dust and tears I was holding back. Below me, Melanie was still on the phone, her voice growing smaller as if she was afraid someone might hear. Words like tonight. Don't come early. Hold him gently. Don't let anyone see. Each phrase sent another cold wave down my spine. I knew I had stepped onto a road with no way back. And the most frightening part was this. I had only seen the surface of the truth. Underneath it, there could be a storm I wasn't ready to name. I stayed silent in the attic until the clock downstairs struck 2 in the afternoon. The air grew thicker by the minute, hot as if the whole roof were breathing down my back. Every time I shifted, the wood beneath me creaked sharply, forcing me to stop breathing so I wouldn't be discovered. But the more I endured, the more certain I became. Something was unfolding down there that my son Calvin knew nothing about. Around 2:30, I heard the closet door open. Melanie came out of the master bedroom, and her appearance made me lean even closer to the floorboard gap. She was dressed unusually fancy. A black fitted dress, sharp pointed heels. Her hair curled softly and sprayed until glossy. She even wore the gold earrings Calvin had given her for their 2nd anniversary. The pair she once dismissed as too gaudy, not my style. I watched her reapply lipstick, glance at herself in the mirror, then grab her handbag. Every movement was polished, hurried. The movements of someone going on a date, not a daughter-in-law caring for a friend's baby. As she walked out the front door, I heard music blast from her car, something far more upbeat than anything she'd ever listened to in front of me. The engine faded, and the atmosphere downstairs fell back into stillness. I stayed still a few more minutes to make sure she was far away. But before I could even exhale, something happened that turned my entire body rigid. A door opened from the outside. The front door opened with a key. Not forced open, not picked, unlocked with a key. I pressed my ear to the gap. A man walked in, sneakers, jeans, a fitted t-shirt, moving with the ease of someone who'd entered this place 100 times. He didn't look around. He wasn't worried about being caught. And that terrified me even more. "Mel, I'm coming in." His voice was low, familiar with this house in a way even I didn't feel at that moment. But Melanie had just left, and he clearly knew she wasn't here. That greeting was just habit. Something you say when you walk into your own home. He set a bag on the table, took out his phone. When the screen lit up, I saw the newest text message. "Baby, are you free tonight? I miss you." I couldn't hear my own heartbeat anymore. My whole body went cold so fast I had to pull my shirt closer to my chest to keep my heart from breaking open. "Baby." The stranger was texting Melanie. There was no doubt now. Melanie was having an affair. He walked straight to the guest bedroom where the baby was sleeping. When he opened the door, the child let out a small sound, then quieted as if recognizing him. The man lifted the baby with perfect ease, even more naturally than Melanie. "Daddy's here. Be good today, okay?" He spoke with a tenderness and familiarity that sent a ringing through my skull. This child wasn't someone's temporary baby, not a foster child, not a friend's. There was only one possibility left, one I refused to say even in my own mind. The man cuddled the baby boy, brushing his nose lightly across the child's forehead. The baby quieted instantly, tiny hands grasping the man's collar like it was the safest place in the world. I even heard him laugh softly. The laugh of a real father. My hands shook so violently I almost dropped my phone, but I forced them steady and switched to video mode. I recorded every movement, every word, every embrace illuminated only by the weak light filtering up from downstairs. Suddenly his phone rang. He shifted the baby to his left arm, answered quietly. "Yeah, she left." "No, no one's home." "Yeah, see you tonight." I held my breath. She, Melanie. No one's home, meaning he regularly came here when I wasn't around. He set the baby down, pulled a bottle from his bag, poured formula into a glass container, shaking it while continuing his hushed call. I couldn't hear everything, but enough words slipped into the air. Divorce. Get half. She'll definitely get money. She just has to say she can't live with her mother-in-law. I already found the apartment. I felt like someone had shoved me off the attic and dropped me onto solid ground. Melanie wasn't just cheating. She was planning to divorce Calvin for money. And worse, they were using this very house as a hiding place for Melanie's real family. I covered my mouth to keep from sobbing. Every layer of truth peeled back revealed something more rotten, more cold-blooded. I looked again. The man lifted the baby and kissed his forehead. Daddy's got you both. Mommy just has to deal with that dumb husband a few more weeks. Dumb husband. They meant my son. My heart didn't hurt anymore. It felt hollow. Frozen. I kept filming even though my hands were numb. I needed evidence. I needed to protect Calvin. I needed to protect this house, the place where Richard had left the last pieces of his life. The man stayed about an hour, cleaning up, changing diapers, making another bottle. I saw receipts in his bag, formula, wipes, baby toys, all paid for with Calvin's card. They were using my son's money to raise another man's child. I wanted to scream, but all I could do was lie there under a layer of dust, holding my breath, watching. When the man finally left using Melanie's key, I felt like I had lived through a nightmare stretching an entire century. I thought the story had hit rock bottom. But then when Melanie returned about 2 hours later, I noticed something that made the blood in my veins stop moving. As she bent down to pick up the baby, I saw her left eyebrow. Smooth. Unbroken. No faint half-inch scar from last year's accident. The scar I remembered more clearly than her smile. I leaned closer to the crack, looked again. No, that wasn't Melanie. It was a woman who looked exactly like Melanie but younger, sharper, colder, no scar. And in that moment, a realization struck like lightning. Melanie hadn't been home at all. The woman downstairs was her twin sister. I stayed frozen for so long that my back went numb from pressing against the attic floor. The heat felt like a stiff, dry blanket wrapped around me. But my body barely registered any of it. Every sense I had was locked onto one detail: the scar. Melanie had a thin half-inch scar on her right eyebrow. It happened when she slipped in the bathroom and hit the sink. I was the one who put the little bandage on it with my own hands. I remembered every line of it, every expression she made when she looked in the mirror. But the woman holding the baby downstairs, the woman I'd been watching for 2 days, had a completely smooth brow. No mark. It wasn't Melanie. I pressed my eye to the crack, studying her features under the afternoon sunlight spilling into the living room. Her brows were sharper, her eyes colder, her jawline a bit stronger. 2 different women so identical that 3 yards away no one on earth could tell them apart except me. I felt my body grow colder as the terrible idea formed fully. I forced myself to breathe evenly so I could keep watching. The woman, I'll call her that because I didn't yet know her name, held the baby with a detached expression. There was no softness, no affection, just familiarity, routine, obligation without tenderness. She paced through the living room like it was her own apartment, not a house she was borrowing to help a friend. Nothing about her suggested temporary. Everything suggested ownership. A wave of nausea rolled through me. If this wasn't Melanie, where was Melanie? I watched closely, memorizing everything. The confident walk. The way she opened cabinets, how she poured water, how she turned on the stove. None of it matched Melanie's real habits. The slow, sometimes childish way she moved. This woman was sharper, calculated, dangerous. Her phone buzzed. She laid the baby in the bassinet and answered. This time she stood close enough for me to see her face clearly. I zoomed in through the crack. Her face appeared clear. Undeniable. Not Melanie. Sharper lips. Colder eyes. A slight smirk totally unlike Melanie's. I saved the image, timestamped it. Saved another zoomed version. I needed proof. At my age, memory can fail, but photos never do. She spoke into the phone. Yeah, tonight she left. Don't worry. Her voice was smooth, firm, nothing like the sugary tone Melanie used with Calvin. In every sentence I heard it. She was used to lying, used to hiding, used to impersonating someone else. A bitter thought rose. Melanie had her twin stand in for her, while she herself ran off with her lover. I inhaled slowly, as if pulling myself back from the edge opening beneath me. If that was true, everything fit. The neighbor seeing Melanie each night with a baby. Melanie, disappearing for hours. The man coming and going freely. Calvin noticing nothing because the face in front of him was his wife's face. This entire house had become a stage, and I was the only audience member not in the script. I lay still, feeling betrayal climb into my throat until it nearly choked me. I had cooked for Melanie, held her when she pretended to cry over work stress, believed she was the one who finally made Calvin truly happy after Richard died, and all along she had treated this home as the backdrop for her double life. I had to stay calm. I checked the time. 3:30. Below me, the woman opened the fridge and began preparing lunch as if it were her home. The baby shifted in the bassinet, and for the first time since hearing him cry, I saw his eyes open briefly. Last night I only heard the cries, but now I saw his pale brown eyes. He was too young to understand anything. Too innocent to know he was lying in the middle of so many layers of adult wrongdoing. I opened my phone again and reviewed the videos and photos I'd taken. I enlarged the woman's face. No scar. Eyes slightly longer than Melanie's. Cheekbones higher. I saved another version. This isn't Melanie, I whispered to myself, as if saying it aloud gave the truth the weight it needed for when I faced Calvin later. But I couldn't confront anyone yet. Not now. If I accused her too soon, the real Melanie would have time to erase every trace, and the woman downstairs would have reason to disappear, taking the baby and any evidence with her. I had no idea how far they were willing to go, and I couldn't risk Calvin's safety over a premature confrontation. I needed more. I needed to understand their plan. I needed to know how long they had been doing this. I needed to find out where Melanie really was and what she was doing. I let out a long breath, even though the air here felt like it was slicing my lungs into pieces. The attic was hot, suffocating. But I knew I couldn't leave. I had to stay. Had to keep watching. Right then, my phone vibrated with a tiny beep. A text notification. I jolted quickly, flipping the phone face down to hide the light. I opened it again, peeking at the screen. Calvin. Mom, I'm coming home early tonight. There's something I want to cook for you. I froze. My heartbeat pounded so loudly I thought Melanie downstairs would hear it. Calvin coming home early. That meant he would walk straight into this woman. He would walk into this performance without knowing he was the victim. And if they felt exposed, I had no idea how those two would react. I had to think fast. I had to protect my son without revealing I was watching. But right now, through the crack in the floor, I saw the woman shaking a bottle of milk, soothing the baby while wearing a cold smile. A smile that didn't belong to the Melanie I once knew. I gripped my phone, feeling as if I were holding Calvin's life in my hands. That message was a reminder. I didn't have much time left. If you're still listening and wondering, like I am, how someone could be cruel enough to build an entire performance like this, then tell me where you're watching from in the comments. One small line from you will let me know I'm not alone in this story. I stared at the phone screen again, at Calvin's message glowing like a blade cutting through the chaos in my mind. Mom, I'm coming home early tonight. There's something I want to cook for you and Melanie. I felt my heartbeat slam against my ribs. Downstairs, the woman wearing my daughter-in-law's face was calmly mixing formula. and the baby in the bassinet breathed softly. None of them knew that message had just crashed into me like an alarm bell. If Calvin came home now, he would see everything. But not in the way I needed. Not enough proof. Not enough clarity. Just enough for the real Melanie or her twin to erase every trace. Worse, Calvin would be so shocked he wouldn't be able to think straight. I whispered to myself in the dark. Not yet. Not yet. I set the phone on the wooden floor, my palm still trembling. Pressing my ear to the crack, I heard the woman downstairs humming a lullaby, English mixed with a faint southeast accent. Something Melanie had never had. I had to reply to Calvin. I had to turn the situation around, and I had to do it without raising suspicion. I took a deep breath, steadying myself, and typed, "You're coming home early. That's wonderful, but I'm preparing a big surprise for Melanie. To keep it perfect, I want you to book a nearby hotel for one night. Come home tomorrow. Trust me." I stared at the text for a long time. It felt harsh. It felt deceitful, but I had no other choice. Calvin trusted me more than anyone in the world, and that trust made my hands shake worse than anything else. I hit send. Less than 30 seconds later, the screen lit up. "Okay, Mom. I trust you. Whatever you say, I'll do. Call me if you need anything." My eyes stung. A mother never wants to use her child's trust to set a trap. But this time, that trust was the shield protecting him from the betrayal creeping through this house. I switched the phone to silent mode, placed it face down, and looked again through the crack at the artificial life unfolding below, unaware they were being watched. The strange man, the baby's father, had returned to the living room. He set a large paper bag on the table. Diapers, wipes, formula, brand new toys with tags still on. I recognized the supermarket logo Calvin always used for household shopping. Calvin's money. Calvin's card. Calvin's house and the woman with his wife's face, but not his wife. I clenched my fists until my nails cut into my skin. The man bent down to change the baby's diaper with the ease of a seasoned father. He wasn't rushed, fumbling, or nervous. He gently talked to the child. "Easy there. Mommy's coming back soon. Mommy." Did he mean the woman downstairs or the real Melanie? I didn't know. But that word slid into my mind like another puzzle piece clicking into place. I turned on the camera, recording every move, every word. The baby kicked its legs, giggling softly when lifted. The man held him with genuine affection, kissing his head. I hit record on the audio too. In my mind, the story began connecting. The real Melanie had run off with her lover, likely this man. The woman in the house, probably her twin, was here to fool the neighbors. They wanted Calvin to believe Melanie was home, gentle, busy, still living as his loving wife. And when Calvin returned, they would strike, divorce, split assets, take the house, maybe even more.